Okay, I'm quoting from this book by Rob Dillenberg. Ted Bundy went to school, I guess, from the summer of 65 till April of 66. He was at the University of Puget Sound, and the last session ends. He sold his Plymouth Coupe, an old 36 or something, for a 58 VW Bug right there. So he's out of Puget Sound in April of 66. Wait a minute. Okay, in September of 66, he enrolls in the University of Washington and studies Chinese. September of 66. Then in March, okay, in so September, October, November, December, it's the last attendance of the University of Washington, which he enrolled in. He went in there in, I guess, September. So he's going into the University of Washington, and he's going there and taking Chinese and whatnot. And then in that very early spring, like February, March, April, he meets Diane Edwards, and they continue a relationship through the summer, blah, 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 blah. If I could, I would like to ask her, she's probably now right at 80. That summer, in one of the researches, it said that he used part of your credit card. At that time, renting a vehicle was $7 a day and 10 cents a mile sometimes. From Palo Alto, from Seattle, because the tag was a Washington State tag that we saw. This was early June of 67. In Jacksonville. I know. It's crazy. It was a red Volkswagen, and it was fairly new, so I would assume it was a rental vehicle. I don't know where he got a red, unless it was a stolen vehicle. I would like to ask her, on her credit card, was it a substantial amount, like $400, $500, $600? And she was shocked. I think that's one of the things that turned her off. And she says, well, I used to lie, and he didn't act manly and all this stuff. So, okay, so that brings us to, and this is a very odd question to me. So he's trying to date this girl, he's on again, off again. And then in March 17th of 1967, he withdraws from the University of Washington. What the hell? He's dating her, he's met her, and they're having a relationship, and now all of a sudden he dropped out of school in March of 67. Can she elaborate on what that was about? Then he went and attended the summer scholarship at Stanford at Palo Alto. And he had a scholarship, and I believe it was a Defense Department scholarship. And then he arrived there on June 25th and June 26th. All right, so I have a problem. He went to Puget Sound. He withdraws from Puget Sound late in September of 66. Then from September of 66 until, I guess, March of 67, September of 66 till March of 67. So he was only one semester at the University of Washington. Then it says he withdrew from the university, and he moves out of McMahon Hall. He was only there from September, apparently, so that would be the fall semester, and then most of the spring semester, and it said he withdrew. So classes probably would have ended in April, so he withdrew before the classes were over. Why would he do that if he was in the middle of a relationship with somebody there? Didn't have any money, maybe? I don't know. Then he attends that thing. In the meantime, he goes on a wild hare, and I would like to ask Richard about the 74 stuff in Jacksonville. He apparently was at the Gator Lodge on Phillips Highway because the lady there said her mother saw him when she was a child. Her mother saw Ted Bundy when she was a child at the Gator Inn. It was like a very political place. They had a steakhouse inside there. And if you're coming up from Miami, it would make sense that if you're driving from Miami, you would stop after 700 or 800 miles and spend the night, right? If he went to the convention, it might have been 68. I don't know. But she spontaneously said, oh, my mother met him. Okay, so now in another question I have is a Defense Department scholarship was a full ride scholarship. That means food, shelter, and tuition. So he would have gotten that money sometime after March of 67 to go to the thing in June. So I would assume May he might have got a check for that Defense Department scholarship. Then we have other questions. Richard, his younger brother, Glenn helped him move to Utah in September 74. He had a white truck, appearing a white truck, and his Volkswagen, and somehow they went together. His brother was in his early 20s, and Bundy was reaching up towards 27, 30, whatever it was. So he's over there. At some point, Richard went. I guess he was a younger brother, jealous. And it says his mom and him had gone to Belmont to go swimming, and that's why he had a flyer from that high school. Well, that was 74. My question is, can you narrow down when Richard was at that airport? I would assume that time, I think Bundy had some money, one from Liz's father and her helping him get settled into Utah, and two, if he was already seeing Carol Boone, if Carol Boone went with her divorce, she would have received some monetary proceeds from that second husband. Because if somebody wants to get out of a divorce, if I wanted to get out of a divorce and the guy was wacko and I never knew it, or let's say I could turn it around because usually a woman, and he says, no, this woman's crazy, I can't deal with it, but she does have a son, she don't have child support right now, I'll give her $50,000 in today's dollars, maybe 75. Back then, it might have just been 10 or 12,000, but it would have been the equivalent of 50,000 in today's dollars. Could she have said, well, I'm not the greatest looking woman in the world, but I really like this guy, so I'll help him with his education just like that other lady was doing, and give him some money? Because in September, if he was at that airport and he flew down to Jacksonville and the red Volkswagen was seen in Jacksonville with the duffel bag out in a national park with a little girl in the back who could not get up from the floorboards named, I don't know her name right now in my mind. Terry, 5 little girls went missing that summer, but a red Volkswagen was seen. And I just wondered. And then in the end, when he leaves out of Pensacola and Tallahassee, he got as close to a red Volkswagen as you can get. It was an orangey red Volkswagen. Look at it. It's almost red. Headed back west. So was he mimicking that trip in 67 that he took on a wild hare? There's so many questions I have. Liz could look at the duffel bag that was left. She could read that report that they won't let me see. I don't know why. I guess I could do a freedom of information. I just want to read the report. What was the little girl's name? Shoot, I should know that. There was another woman that was killed. Her name was, it's in the back of this book, and it was in May on I-5. And it was really overkill. And it was like she was shot with a revolver, but she also was damaged in the head with some kind of item that broke her skull open. And she also was shot 6 or 7 times or 14 times or something. Right in May, which would be his travel time to go to Palo Alto. All right. There must be something you can do. Thank you.